Yeah, thanks everybody. So this is the favorite session that anyone can look up to. So what we'll do here is basically we have an excellent line of panelists. What we'll do is um, I'll start off with everyone doing a quick round of introduction, and basically also so I'll just keep it as an open question in terms of what each company is doing currently with regards to sustainability and with a special emphasis on circularity, right? And that's the next set of questions then would be more customized, so we can pick that up. So Neelam, just to start with you, um, so I think you guys are doing excellent stuff around sustainability internally at Capgemini, and your clients are also kind of benefiting from the tools and products that you are shipping out. So could you just talk about what internally you are doing right now?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Neelesh. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Neelam. I head the Sustainability Center of Excellence for Capgemini Group, which is a multinational into software consulting and IT. Is this better? Okay. So, with regards to sustainability, we do have the sustainability embedded into our corporate strategy itself, which is one of the key pillars alongside the talent and innovation. Uh, when we look at sustainability, we look at three pillars, key three pillars. One is environment, diversity, and digital inclusion. Within environment as well, we do have our own neutrality target by 2025, net zero target by 2040, and there are all of these targets have got very well defined action plans along with the measurement. So just to give you the one of the criteria or one of the targets that we have is this move to renewable energy by 2025, 100% RE. So within India, we have multiple initiatives and globally as well. So we do have around 11.5 megawatt hour of solar farm across our facilities in India. There are battery storage solutions that we have deployed. And the unique solution that we have deployed is something called the Energy Command Center. What it does is really it connects all of the energy consuming devices across our facilities in India, and it monitors and controls the energy consumption. So since approximately 1 year of deployment, we've already accounted for around 29% of the saving really there, and which is one of the lever that we are actually having to meet our neutrality target. When it comes to the sustainability, circularity, this is more around water and waste is the initial one that we have more focused on. We have the water treatment plant across the facilities, the waste treatment plant, biogas plant. So entire water is treated and reused within the facility itself, and the dry and wet waste also is treated and actually turned into compost, and which is used in our own gardens. So this is more on the water and waste, but there are many others in terms of the IT sustainability. So one thing when you're talking about the IT circularity or the sustainability, it comes from the IT consumptions. The employee base really play a big part of it. So there is a one specific initiative that we are running, what we call it as a business resource group for sustainability, which focused on inculcating the culture of sustainability within the employee base. So whether you need to keep your laptop in sleep mode, or you need to what kind of attachment that you would send over the emails. Lot of those the behavioral changes that we're looking at. In addition to that, the lot of the campaigns in terms of the collecting the waste, not only for our own operations but the 180,000 employee base within India, to they can actually get all of the e-waste and even the paper waste as well, and then we sustainably like recycle them responsibly. So those are the lot of the internal initiatives that we are running right now, and moving towards. So at least the renewable energy 100%, though our target was 2025, but we could actually achieve that target for India operations 2 years ahead of time just last month, which is kind of avoided emission of around 70 k tons per year.
That's excellent. So Ratnesh, I think you have some interesting work at UN Global Impact. You were helping private sector implement SDGs. Love to hear about how you are going about that and any particular case studies you might want to highlight.
Sure. Thank you, Neelesh, and thank you, Business World, for this excellent opportunity. And Gail, our chief sponsor, and Neelam here. We are a membership-based organization. So whatever our members are doing, this is a pledge that they signed with the United Nations, and they tell us what they are doing, what they did last year, and what they are going to do next year. So this is a commitment of all the corporates, 20,000 plus globally, which gets personified in terms of UN Global Compact. I represent the secretariat of that UN Global Compact, and I have 500 plus members in India, where almost all the top corporates are represented. And we together innovatively try to implement some part of the SDGs, support the government, support the CSR efforts, monitor, evaluate, create partnerships so that we can facilitate the journey. I mean, as the topic today is circular economy, carbon neutral future. So these are humongous tasks for a country of the size of India and the diversity that we represent. It's a humongous task. Population itself, I mean, last session I was listening to on water, bringing awareness about the true value of water. Similarly, the kind of waste that we generate every day, I mean, in terms of plastic and what you're doing in terms of your employees. So this is something where we need massive partnership, multi-stakeholder partnership. The government has to be on board. The policies have to be in the right place. I mean, the carrot and stick referred by the previous panelists. That is very, very important. I mean, the NGT, its role, sometimes it gets slightly jarring, but it is necessary because otherwise, since the 60s, since the Brundtland Commission report, we have been repeating these solemn pledges every year. And yet, look where we have reached. So the one thing positive in this phase is, apart from all the negatives and the challenges, one thing positive is that corporates, and I sit where I sit, corporates are really sincere and they want us to be of real practical solution. They want those. They don't want hot air to be circulated again. So that is what, I mean, Gail, we interact very frequently. Then we also do monitoring and evaluation, which is objective, third party. We also support implementation. Incidentally, some of the best implementing partners are also our members. So it's a two-way communication which we can facilitate. More concretely coming, as we speak, we are scouting for the best district among the aspirational districts of Maharashtra and Gujarat on the behest of one of our corporate partners, BASF, where we will be testing a district-wide model of plastic waste upcycling and then agro waste consumption, leading to energy and wealth creation. So these are the two challenges that we have taken upon ourselves in 2023, and we will be needing more and more partners to help us in this journey. So one district we have been able to secure funding and the teams are in place, but we would want to cover all the 6 districts, aspirational districts in these 2 states. Similarly, work on farmer producer organizations, work on gender equality, work on responsible consumption and production. These are all simultaneous initiatives which are being led by one or the other of our members, and that is where we come in. We provide technical inputs, we provide support, we provide follow-up, implementation and monitoring. So that is basically in nutshell what we do towards this.
Super interesting, sir.
Thank you.
So Juhi, so your business, obviously circularity is at the core of it, its operations, and we have a very intriguing booth out there on display. Love for you to talk about whatever you are doing internally.
Thanks, Neelesh. At the outset, let me thank Business World for having me today on this very important discussion of circular economy. Circular economy, achieving circular economy or driving circular economy is an imperative for any nation, any corporate today. but it requires really step change in the approach that we follow from a take, make, use, and throw approach to really integrating the design principles, the circularity principles of reuse, redesign, reduce, and reinvent to be able to really drive circularity, to ensure there is minimal waste, to ensure that the extension of product life cycle can happen. At Tetra Pak, sustainability, at the core of it is the foundation of driving low carbon circular economy. And I'll talk about it, about what we are doing in terms of upstream as well as downstream initiatives. But first, let me talk about our pledge. There was a lot of talk on net zero pledge. So Tetra Pak has also pledged to be net zero in its own operations by 2030 and take it up to the value chain by 2050. So that's our pledge on carbon. Now, being a leading packaging and processing company, Tetra Pak has multiple initiatives on the packaging design itself. So if you look at the structure, we have 6 layers and 3 materials that we use. Primarily paper, about 70% of it is paper, 25% is polymer, and 5% is aluminum. So we are not only, paper is 100% recyclable, we are not only sourcing paper from responsible source, which is forest certified, forest certification, FSC certified forests for our paper that we are sourcing. Apart from that, what we are also trying to do is simplifying our design further to make our packaging more recyclable, which means that we are trying to replace the aluminum barrier with fiber-based barriers. So we are looking at those sort of innovations. We've also introduced tethered caps, which ensure that it is part of the carton, it is intact onto the carton, and it reduces the litter situations. We are also working on alternatives to fossil fuels with paper-based materials, plant-based materials. So while you look at caps, you look at the entire packaging, we are looking at replacing it with more renewable sources. So our commitment is to make our packaging more renewable, more recyclable, and carbon neutral. So those on the upstream side. On the downstream also, we are working on the collection and recycling part. We've been working almost over 2 decades on the collection and recycling network. We have invested into the value chain even before the EPR mandates came in. And we work with around 30 plus partners on a pan-India scale to collect used cartons and then send it for recycling. I would urge everyone to also visit the booth outside, because that will also show what is the end of life for a used cartons, how it can be converted to benches and chairs, which is then donated to underserved schools, not only serving a social purpose, but also responsible collection and recycling, putting those thoughts in the mind of the people. So that's on collection recycling. I think awareness also, a lot of discussion happened in the first panel also on the importance of awareness of sortation of source. We have multiple campaigns. One such program is called Carton to Classroom. Again, we've partnered with many other corporates onto the program. Nestle is also one of our partners there this year, where we are collecting the cartons and then sending it to Deluxe, one of our recyclers, converting it into chipboard, and then converting that into benches and chairs, which are donated to schools. In addition, we have a program with Sahas, another NGO in Gurgaon, where we are working with resident societies and also condominiums to collect waste and also sort it at the source, ensuring that the waste is minimal and whatever we are collecting is of value. So that program is also very well received, and that is done in partnership with Coca-Cola, GIZ, and Municipality of Gurgaon is also a very, very important stakeholder to this program. So, like these, there are many, many initiatives, and I think partnership is really the key to how we can really scale up all these programs. Thank you.
Thanks, Juhi. Can I go to Shipra first? I think, Shipra, so your work is quite different, and in terms of implementing advanced research or lab-based, upcoming projects and industrializing and implementing them. So we would love for you to share that with the delegates.
Sure, Neelesh. And for the benefit of the audience, I'll just take a step back and talk about Driiv. So Driiv, which stands for Delhi Research, Implementation and Innovation. It's an initiative of the Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. It's a science and technology cluster, which is designed to bring together industry, academia, and government bodies together to take innovations from lab to market. In terms of the constitution of the cluster, so we are headquartered in IIT Delhi, which is the nodal organization. All other premier institutes in Delhi NCR and neighboring regions are part of it. So other than IIT Delhi, we work very closely with institutions like AIIMS, Triple IITD, ICMR, other government research agencies, and also a lot with corporates, NGOs, startups, MSMEs, philanthropic organizations, and anybody and everybody who can help take innovations from lab to market. Now, having said that, Neelesh, I think there are a few very key challenges in the R&D space, and which also translate into sustainability space by the nature of it. Now, as you know, compared to the global average, which is around 3 to 5% of the GDP in R&D, India invests less than 1%. It's 0.7%, based on last year's data, which is very, very abysmal, as you would agree. And also, if you look at the constitution of that funding, most of it is coming from public sources. There is very little private contribution in R&D. So consequently, what happens is the perennial problems that have been plaguing India are be it related to climate, be it related to public health, or in generally everything that impacts the society or the environment, that have remained as they are. So nothing significant has happened to improve that. On the other hand, the researchers are then just complacent in terms of just making their publications and not taking it to the market. So these are some of the challenges that Driiv is aspiring to address. We've made some headway, both in terms of sourcing private capital, as well as the other aspect of it is lack of piloting opportunities for these, core R&D based solutions. As I think most of my fellow panelists talked about, water neutrality solutions, waste recycling solutions. So you have all these, research organizations sitting there: IIT Delhi, NPL, National Physics Laboratory, IRI. That's Terry, there are a lot of advanced solutions lying with them. But in terms of commercialization, there has been very, very little implementation on the ground. So we are trying to introduce a public-private partnership model. We are currently running a pilot on air pollution mitigation with Delhi Pollution Control Committee. And it basically has three components. One is S&T intervention, where initially 15 and now I think there are 20 startups working with us that have initially provided their solutions for free implementation, solutions ranging from low-cost sensors for monitoring, as well as to large-scale mitigation, so even industrial-scale mitigation that can bring down PM levels from 700 to 200 levels. So those are currently being implemented in Delhi in various hotspots identified by DPCC. Now, a second aspect is, the startups could provide some of these solutions for free, but then we require financial support. So Driiv has been successful to a limited way in sourcing funds from CSR and other philanthropic agencies to support more technology adoption. And the third aspect, as I think most of you were talking about, is community engagement, which is very, very key. So through our network of schools and colleges in and around Delhi, we are mobilizing that audience to engage in these initiatives and improve awareness. And I would love to engage with all of my fellow panelists in terms of taking these efforts forward. And the audience as well, definitely.
Okay, so Rahul, so Huhtamaki obviously is a leader in, packaging. And so we would love to obviously understand as to what are the innovations you have come up with regards to packaging for different clients of yours, and how could maybe some of the delegates in the audience benefit or take advantage of those?
Okay, thank you, Neelesh. It's happy to be here as part of this August panel. So just for people who might not know, Huhtamaki basically is a Finnish company, a world major in packaging. So we come from similar sectors, but we are a bit different in the sense that we are majorly into flexible packaging. So a lot of our packaging is made of plastic, so to say, and like you said, for it was 70% paper. So we are a supplier to most of the consumer companies, pharmaceutical companies. We also manufacture labels, and that's one of our division. We also have another division which is a food fiber services, which is more paper based packaging. So but that's not permanent packaging. It's kind of single use items like the Starbucks cups that you see, or the McDonald's packaging that you have, or the KFC buckets. So that's majorly our product portfolio. Now coming to sustainability and more on circular economy, and you asked about innovations, so I'll speak more on that. So when we look at sustainability, we again put it into three buckets. So one is our own product, second is our own manufacturing footprint, and third is the environment that we are working in. So we spoke of partnerships, so that's where I'm speaking of. But coming to the innovations part, I think you know uh, I mean, most of you might be aware, but just so that we are all on the same platform, today the most of the flexible packaging that you see, 70% of it is multi-layered packaging. So when we say multi-layered packaging, like she was talking of structures of their packaging, similarly we have multiple different polymers who make up that packaging structure, and more often than not there is a foreign layer also, so a non-plastic layer like a paper or a aluminum, and that's required in order to considering the aggressiveness of the product that it is holding. uh, Obviously packaging does the functionality of protecting the product. Now the challenge is, because these are, and the recycling infrastructure in the country is majorly mechanical recycling. We don't have a lot of chemical recycling which can cater to MLP waste. So the fact is that most of our waste systems are linear in the country. So we post consumer use, we don't have good recycling infrastructure that can bring back the plastic into the value chain of packaging manufacturing. Most often that not, we send it to cement factories or waste to energy recovery plants, but nothing beyond that. So our majority innovations are uh, trying to shift from a multi-layered packaging structure to a mono-layered packaging structure. So having the same functionality of protecting a hair color, or a toothpaste, or a food item, but having a mono-layered structure rather than multiple layers. What this will enable is, there is a lot of value in recycling mono-layered packaging. I'll give an example. I mean, we have this bottle over here. Recently, I think Coca-Cola also announced on their LinkedIn page, right? They have now 100% recycled PET bottles for Kinley itself. So why this is possible is because these bottles are made out of a single polymer. So there is, how do I say, there is no, I mean, our own mechanical recycling infrastructure can cater to such packaging structures. They can recycle it, and after selling the recycled granules, they can be used in manufacture of packaging again. And in all of this, there is economical value. What we see is, if we stay with MLP structures, there is no economic value in recycling, which does not create an incentive for waste pickers to collect the waste. There is no incentive for recyclers to recycle it, and there is quality issues for manufacturers to use it. So this shift, I mean, I have to conclude, this shift towards monolayered packaging is something that's absolutely been the key agenda for us when it comes to innovation. Of course, we have other things, we have a mission of 2030 carbon neutral production. We are working on, although water is not used in our processes, but we have zero liquid discharge ambitions by 2030. But I'll not go into that. I think most of them have covered it. But this is our key agenda.
Thanks, Rahul. I think to make it more engaging, and I can see some of the drifting faces here. So maybe what we can do is take a minute each and just talk about where, maybe depending on your interactions, maybe in the first half, you see there could be some potential synergies with folks attending today, where you yourself in your organization could use some help, where you're facing challenges or roadblocks. So if you could just all take a minute each, and then we'll open up to the panel.
So a couple of examples that I will talk about, because I come from the IT company, so I'll talk about more on the IT kind of examples. So when we're talking about all of the recycling, the one of the key thing that co-panelist also talked about it is the collaboration model, and the partnership model is very important. So unless we do have the mechanism of the collection and making it through the right partnership, it's very difficult. So technology can play a role there. So one of the customers in Malaysia was a plastic recycler. What we did, we digitize the complete recycling collection itself, the plastic collection. It's what we call it as a Uberizing the plastic collection, the mobile app, which actually helps collecting them more and more easily. So that is just one example. Energy Command Center, I gave another example. There is a very interesting example that is there on the net also of Europe, where this example is more on the partnership, where Neste energy company, McDonald's, our standard French fries, which we all love to eat, and the Huawei, which is the logistic partners. These three came together, and what they're doing is Huawei, who is a logistic partner, collecting the reused the oil from the French fries, shipping it to the Neste refinery, where they are actually generating the diesel out of it, the renewable diesel, and which that diesel is being used to power the same Harvey truck, which is again collecting and delivering that French fries to different customers. So that is the different kind of partnership models that we are really looking at, and that is the most important thing that I would say. And the key thing with the technological challenges that we see is more on the data to make it all happen, digitize it. The data of across the complex supply chain is needed, is very important. So we need to look at the systems and records where we are looking at those like data maintenance of the recycling ingredients or the components, so that it is much easier to find the hotspots to really tackle them in the data. So these two things. Thank you.
Thank you. So basically, challenges are numerous, but I'll pick up one or two. There is this hiatus between, say, top line companies like one sitting next to me, and then the majority of companies. No, this does not concern us. Our margins are so low. This is a luxury. But actually, it's not. And that awareness and that working together, we are trying our level best to engage the MSME segments as much, because that is where the rubber meets the road. And with scope 3 emissions kicking in, it will become more and more important. So I think that awareness is key, and also some hand-holding is required. Again, I come back to partnership, the role of partnership. So when I visit various locations, fantastic work is being done. But either you have to go through the company's videos or brochures. There is no public domain where all these innovations, Driiv is doing tremendous work. But I think we need more and more Driivs, because locally what I can do, that power has to come to the average MSME, and it does not cost the earth. That, of course, it costs the earth, but it does not cost a lot. So that is what is missing, and that is where we have failed as an aggregator. And I recommit myself in this public forum that we will have to reach out to more and more companies and to break them out of their complacency. It's immediate. It's very, very important and very, very urgent. So that, I think, is the biggest challenge I would like to highlight. The top companies have sustainability officers, departments, etc., who are actually doing a lot of good work. But then that has to translate into small pieces which each company can adopt, adapt, customize. But it has to be a movement.
Thanks, Ratnesh, for sharing this.
Thank you, Neelesh. I think I agree with both the co-panelists. We need to really collaborate. Individually, we are really creating islands of excellences. We have amazing projects going on within the company. But to create scale impact, I think we need to really collaborate to really move things on the ground. We are trying to do it with various partnerships that I mentioned just now with Coca-Cola, GIZ. So the scale of the project can improve and we can impact a lot more communities. There should also be platforms where best case practices can be shared, because there is a lot of dearth of skills, a lot of understanding is not there, knowledge is not there. So good companies doing great work on ground can share best practices for the other companies also to emulate, and also again partner with many more to really create impact on ground.
Okay. Interesting question, Neelesh. Maybe I'll focus on packaging because that's what I represent. Two key challenges that we are, like Sir said, the challenges are many, but two key challenges that I see and really need a solution in India is first developing recycled content for packaging, which gives the same quality as virgin polymer, because and I see recycle here. Rikat, I was talking with EcoX. We really look forward to companies who can help us develop this value chain of recycled content, because like I said, even if we design the monolayered packaging, it needs to get recycled, and then high quality granules need to be made, and then that which can be used back in manufacture of packaging. And that's like we all speak of UNSDG 17. So partnerships and associations are going to is the one thing that's going to take sustainability ahead. So that's how do I say, one key challenge which we are facing, and if solutions come out, it would be really helpful.
Yeah, I completely agree with all the panels, and particularly Ratnesh ji, where he mentioned that, okay, so we are all doing some work, but obviously it needs to be scaled up a lot more because the nature of the problem is humongous. One thing I would like to add is, a lot of the panelists brought up the problem of plastic waste and plastic recycling. There are some lab scale innovations sitting in labs of IIT Delhi and other partner institutes that are looking at biodegradable plastics, right? So those kind of innovations need to be adopted more and more, and that requires partnership with the corporates, both in the room and outside. Multi-layered plastic, again, commercial scale solutions have been done, and packaging industries can take advantage of that. Zero liquid discharge, so again, institutes within the cluster can provide that level of consultancy to help you assess, okay, what are your water needs, what are recycling needs, and how can we help you? And there are solutions out there. That is one. In terms of developing the value chain, and that's the problem we also identified, and therefore we've developed that kind of value chain, particularly for plastics, and we'll come to the other issues as well, where we work with a large-scale waste management companies that go and collect plastic waste, and the channels we've developed is through our school and colleges. We are running a drive called Corporate Responsibility Drive, where we are targeting 10 billion tons of plastic to be collected and recycled into desks that are donated back to schools. So this is just one example how it can be done. There are multiple solutions sitting in the cluster that convert plastic into fuel, agri-residue, biomass into value-added products that can be used in automobile industry for absorbing shock and reducing noises, etc. So multiple such use cases exist. Again, it goes back to everybody coming together, creating that value chain collectively so that impact can be seen on the ground.
So yeah, thanks everyone. We can open it up to the delegates. If you have any questions, follow-ups.
Yeah, so starting with the caveat that although I do hold an engineering degree, I'm not very close to this particular technology. So I'm happy to connect you with the researchers there. But to your question, it doesn't disintegrate in as quickly as a banana peel, but obviously it doesn't take years also. So at best, it'll take a few months to disintegrate, less than 6 months to disintegrate. It is the question of simply simplifying the polymeric structure of the plastic so that makes it easier to disintegrate in natural conditions without consuming extra energy from outside.
Seema here from Mergent. As you mentioned, right, that in some part of the country, not here, overseas, the used cooking oil has been used as a biofuel, right? And if you are aware, we also have biofuel plants in India too. But unfortunately, they've all shut down just because we don't have the resource. We don't have the raw material over here. We are banned to import palm, the waste, which is called pome, okay? And UCO is nowhere available. Again, it's into some other market. So what do you think, you or the corporates can contribute to get the biodiesel industry in India?
I would look at it is as a systematic change actually. So it's not only one corporate of this, it requires quite a lot of system changes, right? From the policies to the individual corporate who can actually, and then entire logistics behind it, like from where it can be collected and those. So that's what it it will take. It's more of a system change than one particular effort in
But
terms
is there
of
anything that corporates can do on this?
Corporates, I would say it depends on what corporate, but it can definitely contribute in terms of the making the solutions that will ease out these logistics things. So they make the logistics simpler, and from the collection points, and then actually looking at it is kind of raw material. So even if you have the visibility of where the raw material is, so then you can have a platform there where people can actually post that, okay, these are the raw material vendors, because this is not yet considered as a raw material. So it requires a lot of those changes. It's, as I said, it's more of a system change in which everyone needs to come together and solve it, right from the policy to the individual businesses.
Once it's here, we will definitely have a good revolution in the fuel industry.
Absolutely. Has got.
Can I just add? I mean, brilliant question and brilliant answer. It is indeed a systemic change, and I would like to draw your attention to the National Green Hydrogen Mission as well, which the government has recently announced. So there is 20,000 crore budget set aside for it, where they're looking at various ways of producing green hydrogen indigenously and then reaching a level where India is able to export. Now, there are a couple of ways in which you can produce green hydrogen. One is by splitting water, right? It could be wastewater, it could be seawater, anything. The other method is by using any organic compound, which is basically MSW, municipal solid waste, or agri residue, right? Now, the success of this project lies, and as you rightly pointed out, ensuring regular feed, right? And which is where I think the biofuel project or experiment also kind of failed initially, is that who will guarantee that minimal feed? And this is where a close collaboration between MSMEs, corporates, with the local governments like municipal corporations need to be there to ensure continued success. So rather than it being bottom up, it has to be a combination of both top down as well as bottom up, whereas the municipal corporations are kind of nudged to collaborate with the industry and with anybody who's setting up these plants to ensure, okay, so I'm guaranteeing you X tons or waste or whatever it is you require, and there can be pricing built into it. Right. So because ultimately you're going to produce something of commercial value. So there could be pricing built into it. But this is something that is very much needed.
There are some of at least the municipal waste is getting used as a fuel, at least in cement plants that I know of, where they buy the truckloads of the waste and then just use it as a fuel.
My name is Giri Sethi. I have two questions. One is we are talking about the waste, STP or other waste recycling and this thing. What about the chemical dyeing industry, textile industries, polluting the rivers, using a lot of chemicals? There is no solution to that. Number one. Number 2 point, every bottle has a number. The triangle and in the triangle there is a number. There is no awareness that if the number is below 5, it is risky to use. It's to to the cancer, you can say, the plastic cancer. But above 5, yeah, you're rightly looking. It is not on below, but it is on the label. There is a triangle, there is a label, recycle. It is mentioned recycle, but they are not mentioned the number. Number is must as per the law. 1 to 5, it is recycle. 1 to 2, easy to recycle. And then HDP, it is little difficult to recycle. Below 5, it is risky to use the bottle. Normally, we take water bottle and frequently 1 year, 2 year, half year, we are using the same bottle, keeping in a bag, carry bag and using. It's not good for us. Above 5, it is not risky one. So awareness is must. That is my 2 questions.
There is no number
No, it is, you see the label, made in India, the triangle is there, but number is not mentioned, but they have mentioned the recycle.
So I think no number is eternal, that means. Carry on.
It's not carry on, it's a risky one. It's a risky one.
But thank you so much, sir, for giving us that point. I think many of us didn't know that.
Exactly. I am just to message
Awareing us.
Shipra, just keep on. It's very important. And it has to be. Below 5, it's a risky. Above 5, not much.
Noted. That was also a comment from sir. No stress.
Very logical answer for that would be it's really the policies, punishment, that is the, and awareness level. Anything.
So we'll take the last one from you, but 10 seconds to ask and 30 to answer. That's all I've been allowed. So sorry. Please.
सर नंबर्स पॉलीमर के टाइप से होते हैं, ना कि रिस्की और नॉन रिस्की के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. एक नंबर पीईटी वेस्ट के लिए, पीईटी पॉलीमर के लिए, या 7 नंबर मल्टी लेयर प्लास्टिक्स के लिए. तो द नंबरिंग इज नॉट फॉर द रिसाइकलिंग और रिसाइकलेबल नॉन रिसाइकलेबल, इट इज फॉर द टाइप ऑफ द पॉलीमर. सो मल्टी लेयर्ड हो या एसडीपी हो या पीपी हो या पीएस हो. सो टेक्निकली अवेयरनेस यहाँ पे रिक्वायर्ड है ये बताने के लिए कि नंबरिंग क्यों है, ना कि इसलिए कि रिसाइकलेबल कम है या ज्यादा है.
सर कुछ सवाल है इनके लिए? No, just ask. Honestly, just ask me. I have to just make sure. Lovely, both of you. Let's take you to Big Boss and do this. Bang on. But thank you so much, gentlemen, for helping us with that. Of course, for giving us details. Any detail, of course, is important. Any more questions? I request you to please take them outside on a personal level with all of you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for the
also Neelesh for moderating this. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, I think we can be louder for them, please. Also for both the gentlemen here.